Hey everybody, welcome back. Jesse here for 3Prong Gaming. And in today's episode, we are going to continue working on our NPC finding a new house and moving to the location. And yeah, I'm confident we should be able to finish up the find existing house branch of the behavior tree. So let's get this started. Alright, well, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody. I hit 500 subscribers a couple days ago, and yeah, wow, that's amazing. Most of that, the majority of that, has come from this series alone. I think, over 400 of that has come specifically from this tutorial, and actually probably more than that, because I'm sure some of my other Minecraft subscribers probably dropped when this series started. So none the same, I'm 500 subscribers. I've been trying to think of something special to do for you guys, and you know, I can't think of anything. So as a collective group, if you guys come up with some ideas of what you'd like to see me do to highlight my 500 subscriber benchmark, then that would be, I'll look it over and we'll see what we can do to try to do something special for you guys. I was thinking, I don't know, I had a couple ideas, but I don't know, bare minimum, maybe offer the project that we're doing here as a download so you guys can go and take it and compare it to your work and just have something extra right there. I was thinking about that, but if you guys like to see something else, then let me know. Put it down in the comments. And so, yeah, let's get this started. In the last episode, we were working on our last couple episodes. We've been working here in our behavior tree, setting up our homeless branch, and currently we're working in the find existing house. Hopefully we should be able to finish this today. And then in the next episode, we can start working on the build shack section right there. All right. So yeah, we've got the find housing. We got that up. We had several functions we had to do for that. So if you haven't seen all that, go ahead and check that out. And so let's go ahead and draw off this. Let's just do a weight. We're going to do normal weight. Don't do a random weight. And I'm just going to drop this down to 0.2. This is just to kind of break up some speed movement in here. We don't necessarily want this. We've talked about this in previous episodes. Sometimes you just don't want it to zip straight through all the code. You can have problems doing that. It'll skip functions and things of that nature. So we'll just put in a small weight right there. Not a big deal. Okay, drag off this. Let's do a simple parallel. Right, so we got our find housing here. So now we need to be able to move to it. Right, so let's come over here. Let's open up our move to location function. Okay. And this is what we got set up so far. We've got it to where we can select the location type, office, home, and restaurant. Eventually this will most likely be larger. But yeah, there's actually a couple things I want to do in here. We got to set up the home branch in here, obviously. Let's comment this out and we'll just call this abort. All right, so we know what it is. And we'll just kind of slide it out of the way for now. There's a couple things I want to do in here. Like I said, the home branch, that's what we're going to do for this one. But this is going to really kind of get messy the way we have it right here. So let's go like this. Let's select all of this. Actually, let's just go Alt. Just connect that real quick. We can actually disconnect that one as well. And slide this down a little bit. Right click, let's add a custom event, and we will call this move to office. Right, that's what that is. Move to office, so we can just slide this up. Go ahead and plug this into the execution, and well, that's it for that. Let's go ahead and grab this, comment it, and do move to office. Okay. Oops. Go ahead and move this out of the way. So now off of the office, let's go ahead and drag down off of this and do move to office right there. And then just plug this in. So there we go. So now our main branch of the code is going to be clean. We can run separate events and functions off of this. So be much easier. All right. We're going to do the same thing with our home. We'll do it with everything else as we move along here. So let's compile and save that. So now what do we need to do to move off or move to our house? Right. So now we need to create another. Let's go ahead and right click, do custom event. We'll call this one move to house. Zoom in here so we can see it. Move to house. Now what we actually need, we need input on this. So let's go ahead and add that. We will call this one house. And let's just make it of type actor. Okay, reference, because what we're going to do is we're going to pull from a Blackboard key and it's going to come off as an actor. Because if you remember, we got down here, we've got the house reference that is stored once we find a house. And that is an actor. So we need to pass in the actor here. Right, so let's see. We could probably actually even do that. Let's go ahead and let's delete that. We're just going to, in my cheat sheet, I actually had the, up in here, I had the reference being passed, but we don't need to do that. So let's create a new variable. We'll call this one house reference. Make it of type Blackboard key selector. Make sure it's editable. And I'm just, for my own OCD, I'm going to move it up here underneath the rest of the Blackboard key selectors. Like I said, make sure it's editable. Go ahead and drag this out now. Let's get it. And then get Blackboard value as actor. Now we need to check first. Let's go ahead and check if this is valid. So pull off of this. We got to make sure it's valid. Always just double check. Make sure all your actors and things in the world that you're trying to use are valid. Plug this in, because who knows, something might happen to this. You know, you might delete it before he actually gets to it, or whatever the case might be. So is it valid? Yes or no? Well, let's make it easy here. If it's no, let's go ahead and finish execute, and we're going to return false. All right. But if it is, what we need to do now is we need to take this and let's go ahead and do a cast to residential master BP. Right click it. Let's go ahead and convert this to a pure cast. Okay. And then from here, we need to get entrance and then get the world, get world location, right? Just like we did with the office, right? We're just getting a different one here, except for in the office, we actually get the place of employment from our profile. And the reason why we're not doing the same thing here is because this isn't set. We can't set this yet. I'll explain this in just a little bit. But we can't set our residency yet. We're going to have to do that at the very end of this behavior tree branch because of the way our service, our AI state service is set up at the very beginning. If we set it now, then he'll never complete the task and he won't finish all this. He'll automatically just jump over here into employment. So, all right, so we got that. So now pretty much all we need to do is we could take, we could take this, oops, go ahead and highlight those right there and Control W. Go ahead and plug this in, hook the is valid into the target location, and then this into the vector right there. And that is it. That's all we got to do for the move to house. Pretty simple stuff. All right. Go ahead and pull off of this and comment it. And let's do move to house. One thing I like to do, you see me probably do this quite a bit when I comment, is right after I make a comment, watch the top and bottom. Watch how it resizes, even though I'm just moving it up. It kind of expands. It doesn't quite size initially the comment box properly, so I always move it up or to the side, and it'll size it up, because if not, a lot of times you'll find you'll move the comment box, and even though it's supposed to grab everything inside, if you don't do that, it has a chance of leaving one behind, and it just drives me nuts. So that's just a habit I have when I do that. So that's why I do that. All right, so now just drag off the home and do move to house. Place this up there, create a little space, and we'll just hook that in right there. There, that's it. That's all we got to do for that. Pretty simple stuff. Yeah, I just got to double check, make sure that I am right, and it looks like I am right. So compile it and save it. I'll zoom in here so you can take one final look at what this looks like. So pause break. All right. Beautiful. So now let's come out here, drag off of this, and let's do move to the T move to location. All right, so now we need to set all these in here. Target location, destination, current location. Now you can see why it's important. You know, you can name inside these, you can name these whatever you want, but once you start getting several of them in here like we do now, it can get really confusing. So that's why you should always try to just keep the name the same. All right, and the location type, we are moving to our home and should be invisible. Remember, we set this in here, should be invisible. Of course, I did not set what it should be in here, and that is bad practice. Let's go in here real quick. I'm going to do that real quick. Should be invisible. Tooltip. Should the NPC be invisible after it reaches its location? There we go. Compile it and save it. So that way we know, because actually when I was building this in my cheat sheet prior to recording, I was going, what am I using that exactly for? So now when we hover, should the NPC be invisible after it reaches its location? Yes, it should. Okay, because we're not always going to want to do that when we move, just like with the random move. Like we have over in here, the random move, we got this set, should be invisible to false. All right, cool. So we got everything set up in here, right? House, current, destination, location should be invisible. Awesome. Okay, so now off the parallel, what we need to do is, of course, we need to do stop movement. Make sure we set these, target location and destination. Now we need to add a couple decorators here. We probably could have just came over here and copied our other one, our other stop right in here. Yeah, I didn't. So loop, we want it to be an infinite loop. Go ahead and right click. We need to add another decorator and make this a blackboard key selector. And make sure that's what I did with this one. Blackboard, does location exist? Nope, actually we did do this one right here. Does location exist? So we will do the same thing. Let's go ahead and, where am I? What did I do? There we are. Let's go ahead and delete this real quick and right click and do decorator. Does location exist? D does location exist. Right, so select that. Destination is destination, and cool. And we'll just rename this. Does house not exist? Because that tells you if it does not exist, true, then we want to stop movement right there. So we need to inverse the condition. If the house does not exist, inverse. Okay, so that way it only comes up into here if it's false, if it does not exist, right? Because if you look at that, let's reopen that. If you look, it just checks to see if the destination blackboard key is valid or not. If it is not, then it passes false. So let's see. Yeah, so we don't want to come into here if it's true, only if it's false. Because if we set this like that, then that means it'll pass through if it's true. All right. So we want that as inverse. Let's go ahead and save that now. Okay. So what we got to go ahead and do now is now we need to be able to set our destination, right? And so for this, we're going to need to create a new task. Let's go ahead and select this BTT task blueprint base, like I like to do. Let's go in here and rename this F2 T underscore is at location. Okay. Go ahead and jump on into here. I'm going to close this one out just to give me some tab space up in there. And what we need to do with this one is we need to add a receive execute AI. Let's jump back into the behavior tree really quick. Down here, where did we do it? Where did we set that? Oh, we set that right over in here. Into our find housing. Just open that up real quick. If you remember, most of the other ones only have like the pawn set up. And actually, we're probably only going to need the controller, at least as of right now, in the as-is location. But I have a feeling that we're probably going to end up needing the pawn at some point. So just Control-C, go ahead and close that out, come into here, and Control-V, drop that in. And clean up the name. And just hook these in. Let's go ahead and here, let's add these variables. Create variable pawn, right click, create variable controller, compile it and save it. All right, step out of that. All right, so now what we need to do is, let's go ahead and create a couple variables here. We're gonna need current location. It's gonna have to be of type Blackboard key selector. Make sure it's editable. Oops, that's all right. We'll fix that in a second. We'll call this one, we need another Blackboard key selector, house reference. And we'll probably need some more in the future, but this is all we need for right at this point. Make sure they are both editable. And let's create one more. Let's go ahead and call this one new residence. And I usually don't like doing this, but I'm going to put a question mark in here. New residence? Question mark, and we will make it of type Boolean. I usually don't like using punctuation inside my variables, but it just makes it easier than doing a longer name. Is this a new residence? You know, so question mark, it tells you that it's a question. Let's make that editable so we can edit it from the behavior tree. Okay, compile and save that. And let's just add a tooltip. Is this setting a new house for the NPC? Right, so that way we know. All right, so now we need to run a branch. Okay, drop that in here, and let's take that new residence variable right there, plug that in. Are we setting this as a new residence? If true, what we need to do now is we need to actually, let's see, let's go into the NPC AI controller. You could do this on the regular NPC blueprint, but most commands and stuff I like to try to keep on the controller. So let's go ahead and close that out. Let's create a new function on the NPC controller, and we will call this one set new residency. Okay, let's double check, make sure we've got the pawn reference in here. So what we need to do is we need to pass in new, we need to pass in, what are we passing in? Hold on a second here. Oh, you know what? Let's rename, I want to rename this. I want to rename this set new house. Okay, and we need the input here. Let's just go ahead and call this one house. And to make it easier, to make it one less cast in our behavior tree, the way it's going to end up having to be cast, let's just make this input an actor reference. All right, so we'll pass in our house. And what we're going to need to do with that is we need to take our NPC reference right here. Let's get it. We need to get my profile. Okay, let's go ahead and move this back a little bit, and then just drag off of this and hit break. You could right click and expand this, split the struct, but we talked about that in the last episode, is if you go back later and add something to this and you split the struct, it's going to break a lot of things. But if you break it out like this, every original thing will remain intact. You'll just have to come back and hook up the one new thing that you add. So let's go ahead and do this. And so what we're doing now is let's go make what is this, NPC profile struct. All right, expand this out. So pretty much just drag. This is the pain in the butt about structs, but yeah, in the long run they make it a little bit easier. So just drag everything you have so far over. We don't want to hook up residency because we're actually going to set the residency. So let's take this house right here, and we'll do cast to residential master BP. Right click, let's go ahead and make this a pure cast. And we can set this up. I actually have it set up elsewhere to, when you create this, it automatically creates it as a pure cast. You can do that in your editor settings. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So now we just take this and plug that into the residency right there. Just like so. Okay. And now we need to set this, get it, our pawn reference again, and set my profile. Go ahead and plug in the new struct right there. So now we're resetting it. And then just hook up the execution. And I believe all we need now is a return node. So go ahead and drag off this, return. Cool. Just like so. Oops. Compile it, save it. We shouldn't need that again. So let's go ahead and close that out. So now back into the is at location task. Now, if this is true, what we need to do is, this is where I came up with this, why I changed the name of the other one. Actually, we need to create a custom task or custom event. Call it set new residency. All right, so let's go ahead, and what we need to do into this one now is just grab our controller. Let's get it. Pull off of this, do set new house. Hook that up. And then we need to take our house reference, get it, and then get value as actor, and plug that in right there. So that is it. That's all we got to do for that one. Let's go ahead and, oops. Let's go ahead and comment this. Set new residency. Yeah. All right. Cool. So now drag off of the true. If we are setting a new residence, we need to go set new residency. Just like so. And if we're not, what we need to do is take our current location. Well, regardless if it's true or false. Now we need to take our current location. Let's get it. And we need to get Blackboard value as actor. Pull this up. And let's see. Did I do that wrong? No, I didn't do that wrong. All right, so is at location. Now, what we're going to need to do is, we haven't done it yet. We're going to go back. Maybe in the next episode, we'll start doing this. Every building is going to need to do something when an NPC enters the building, whether it's work, and even depending on what type of work, it's going to have to be different. There's going to be different things we're going to want them to do when they go to the building and enter it. And same thing with the office. We haven't set it up here. We're going to have to go back and rechange it up for the office, but that's not going to be too big of a deal. But yeah, so looking ahead for that and knowing that that's coming, let's go ahead and we're just going to set this up right now. So let's, real quick, we'll go cast to building master BP. And this one, we will not convert this to a pure cast. Right, so let's go ahead and hook up this false. We're just going to hook up the false to this as well. Because even if we're not setting this as a residence, we still want it to execute this task. That's why it's going to make it multi-purpose. Okay, so now let's jump into our buildings. We need the building master BP. All right, and all we're going to do right here is just like we did with some of our other functions. I can't think of what function it was that we did this to, but let's go ahead and create a new function. We will call this one enter building. All right, we need new input. We will call this input NPC. Let's go ahead, and because of in our is at location, because we're already converting the pawn, we're already casting it into the NPC blueprint. This means we don't have to recast it when it comes through. So let's go ahead and just make it of type NPC blueprint. But if we don't cast it in here, if it's not cast in here, then we would have to cast this. This would have to come in as like a regular character, and then you cast it into your NPC blueprint. Okay, but we're already doing that in there, so we won't worry about it now. So now in the outputs, let's just go ahead and create an output here call it entered building. We probably won't always use this, but, well, we'll end up needing to, but it may not always matter whether you return, you know, I don't know. What am I trying to say? There might be times when entering the building, we want to return false on this. So we'll just do it like that, all right? We're just going to leave this plain. So if you want, you can comment this. I said comment. It doesn't want to comment it for some reason. All right, well, I wanted to comment it and just say that should be, this should be, we could do it right here. Description should be overwritten by children BPs. Okay? Compile it and save it. Let's go back into is at location. So now, off of our casting of the building master BP, go ahead and pull off this and do enter building. All right. So now all we need to do is we need to pass in our pawn. So grab your pawn right here, just plug it in. Now we'll just drag it right there. And then we need a finish execute, and we will just hook this up. And then so when we actually create the functionality of entering building in this specific building blueprints, we'll need to make sure to pass positive or negative coming through because we're hooking it up to the finish execute right there. All right, now so for whatever reason this cast fails, then we may want to handle this differently because is that location may not always be a building. There might be something else like a forest if we're at the forest or something. So, but for right now, we don't have any of that. So we're just going to pass a fail. So when it comes time to do more than just is that location for a building, we'll run off cast here and we'll run other checks as we need to. But for right now, cast fail on this, and this is why we left it as an impure function, is so we can have this branch right here. All right, compile it and save it. And that should be all we need for that one. So let's go back into the behavior tree and let's Control S. Let's just save all this because we need to. So now drag off of this and do is at location. T is at location. Let's go ahead and hook this up. Is at location. I want to go in here real quick. Class defaults. Yeah. Select that. Is at location for the node name. Compile it and save it. Come back out here. Is at location. We're going to change that. Is at house for the specific one. All right. Make sure current location is set to current location. House reference to house reference. And is this for a new residency? Why, yes, it is. So let's go ahead and check that to be true. All right. So now right click. We created, if you remember, we created another decorator over here called D is at location. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and use that right here. So we'll go and right click, add decorator, D is at location. All right. Jump into this real quick. And we've got this set up to where it checks to see if we're at the office, at home, at restaurant. Right. This one just checks the profile and checks the employment, but now we just need to check the house, right? So now we need to create a new variable here, new Blackboard key selector. Call this one house reference. Yeah, did I spell that right? Make it a Blackboard key selector. Now, this is why one of the reasons why we couldn't set this yet is, well, it hasn't been, this hasn't been set yet, right? Not why we didn't do it, but it hasn't been set yet. It doesn't get set till here, but we're putting the decorator on top. So that's why we're not pulling off of the profile like we did right here for the employment, is simply because it's not set yet. So make sure that that's editable. Go ahead and pull that out here. Let's get it. And we could eventually come down here. These aren't going to be real big functions. So I'm not too worried about making custom events for it like we just did in the move to location. But let's go ahead and house reference. Let's get Blackboard value as actor. Okay. We also need our current location. So go ahead and drag that out there. And also get Blackboard value. And actually, I think we need to set this one as object, because I believe that's what it's set to. Yep, object current location. Oh, they're both set. Let's look at this real quick. Current location. Yeah, see, it's set to an object. We could set it to actor, but because we set it as an object right here, we probably need to run it as an object, although house reference, that's also an object. So I guess we can run it as an actor. It doesn't matter how you do it, I guess. I thought maybe it did, but apparently not, because we've been running this as an actor. So, but I'm going to leave it for right now, just so I don't have to drag that out and redo it all. So what we need to do is make sure that they are equal. So type in equal, then plug both these in. So if our current location is equal to our house reference, then we need to Control W, run this off of the home right there, and then just plug this in right there. Go ahead and highlight that, comment it, and we'll just type home. All right, compile it, save it. And don't worry about the note. It's just telling us we have the undone pins right there. So jump back into our behavior tree. Select is at location. I'm going to change this to is at home or is at house. Matches up with that, I suppose. All right. Location check. We want to check home. That's a variable inside, if you remember right here, like I said. That's this. It's a switch. Location check. It's a switch. All right. So come back out here. Current location is current location. House reference is house reference. And that is it. Wow. We made it through this. Actually, I thought it was going to take me a little bit longer. It took me a little bit longer to actually get in and set this up in my cheat sheet. So that is it for our find house, or find an existing house. So technically we probably could drop in a, you could test this yourself. I'm not going to do it right now on the screen. Maybe we'll do it in the next episode if we have some time. But I'll probably wait until actually we finish this build shack right in here. And I need to make a mesh. I've got a mesh in my main project for a shack. It's not real great, but I don't know. Either I'll use that one or I'll come up with a different shack idea. I did model a different shack, but the materials in it aren't that great, so I don't know if I'll give that out. But either way, when it comes to the shack, I will give you guys some sort of mesh for that. They won't be as pretty as the meshes that Matt provided for us, which you can get down in the description if you haven't done so already. Check out the description. And the meshes you see in the screen here, there's a few of them. These meshes and materials are free for you to use, and you can use them however you want, but give attribution. Yeah, that's all it is just give some attribution to Matt's work. It's in the license, in the download, and it doesn't take you, the download doesn't take you to an ad file or anything. It just takes you straight to my Dropbox and downloads it for you. All right. So yeah, there's that. So next episode, we will start on this build shack over in here, I think. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully I didn't move too fast. I tried to keep a nice steady pace in this episode because I knew there's going to be quite a bit to fit in here. And, you know, I just, you know, I wanted to make sure to get it all in. So there it is. Let me back off of this a little bit here. Remember, I won't show you this because it's pretty much empty, the enter building function. Maybe we'll come back and work on this enter building because we're going to end up having to run all of this also in the office stuff. But yeah, that's what that looks like right there. Set new residency. It just comes down here and sets this one. And then that function, I don't have the controller open anymore. This function here just, yeah, sets our new residency in our NPC profile. All right, so there's that right there. Double check it. Cool. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a favor. Hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe while you're down there liking it. And yeah, again, thank you. 500 subscribers. That is awesome. I really didn't think I was ever going to hit that. And I hit it in, you know, I mean, we're not talking mass scale as far as how quick it goes. But no, actually, I'm really pleased with it. I didn't expect to hit 500 at least this quickly. That equals... You know, I've been getting about 3 new subscribers a day. So, yeah, welcome everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all your kind comments and everything. As a matter of fact, as I was sitting here recording, you probably heard my phone vibrate a couple times. That was people leaving me comments, most of which, almost all the comments, thanking me and appreciating my tutorials. Well, I appreciate you back just as much, because without you, well, I'd be bored. I would be bored. So, yeah. See you next time. Peace.